A few days ago, I came across this mini PC for an unbelievable 15 cents. Honestly, I didn't think there was any chance it still worked, but according to the seller, it was fully functional. So, just how bad can a 15-cent mini PC really be? Can it even run Minecraft? Well, I bought it. Now I'm just hoping I didn't get scammed, because I still can't believe a working mini PC could sell for only 15 cents. Let's find out. Oh my god! After 5 days, the machine finally arrived at my house. It came packed inside a foam box, so hopefully there's an actual PC in here. I guess it's time to open it up and find out. I'm really curious how old this thing actually is. But before I reveal it, let me ask you something. What do you think the seller used to wrap this computer? Bubble wrap? Shredded cardboard? Foam? Nope. Option 4.
Pokemon!
Old underwear. Oh my god, this thing smells horrible. It smells like urine. I seriously can't believe the seller wrapped a computer in something this disgusting. At this point, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to touch it. But after opening everything up, yes, it is actually a mini PC. Before I put my hands anywhere near it, I'm going to clean it thoroughly with disinfectant, because whatever this thing went through, I don't want it coming home with me. The only thing I knew was that it was made by Acer, so I took a photo and searched Google to find the exact model number. After a bit of digging, I found it. This is an Acer Aspire Revo R1600, released back in 2009. I honestly couldn't believe it. This little PC is already 17 years old. Just by looking at that Intel Atom sticker, I could already guess how bad the performance was going to be. Alright, now the big question, does it still work? That's when I noticed something. The seller never included the power adapter. Seriously? Buying a $30 power adapter just to test a 10-cent PC would be a terrible deal. Luckily, I already had a compatible adapter with the correct plug and power rating. Looks like I just saved myself 30 bucks. I think it's time to power this thing on. Or, at least, that was the plan. It looked like something was seriously wrong. The monitor wasn't getting any signal. The keyboard LED stayed off, which was a pretty clear sign that the system wasn't booting at all. So I took the cover off to see if there was anything obviously wrong inside. No matter what I tried, the machine showed absolutely no signs of life. Next, I grabbed a multimeter and checked the power adapter. The output was a steady 19 volts, exactly what it should be. So that ruled out the power supply. The problem had to be inside the PC itself. At that point, I started wondering, had I been scammed? I even contacted the seller hoping they might have some idea what was wrong, but after waiting an entire day, they never replied. I tried every basic fix I could think of. Reseating the RAM, removing the CMOS battery, nothing worked. The machine was still completely lifeless. Then something unexpected happened. I gently wiggled the power connector, and all of a sudden, the PC sprang to life. But there was still a problem. It let out one long beep, and the display was still showing no signal. My first suspicion was the RAM, so I moved the memory stick to the top slot and tried again. No way. The screen finally came to life. What a relief. But before I could celebrate, another problem appeared. The operating system was missing some critical files, so it couldn't boot. Considering how old this machine is, I wasn't too surprised. It still had its original 500GB hard drive, so I decided to replace it with an SSD. Not because it would improve gaming FPS, it won't, but because it would make the entire system feel much faster and more responsive. Perfect. I'm finally inside Windows. No way, just look at this CPU. An Intel Atom 230, one core running at 1.6 GHz, paired with just 2 GB of RAM. Oh my god, it's just DDR2. It scores only 22 points in a single core benchmark. That's honestly a pretty embarrassing number. What's even worse is that simply sitting at the Windows desktop is enough to push the CPU to 100% utilization. I haven't even opened a single application yet. The entire system feels painfully sluggish. At this point, I don't think Windows is doing this machine any favors, so I'm going to switch to something much lighter, Windows 7, and see if it can breathe a little life back into this old PC. To be fair, this was never designed to be a gaming machine. 17 years ago, it was built for basic office work, and that's probably one of the reasons it ended up costing me almost nothing. Still, I'm genuinely curious whether it can survive the game I'm about to throw at it. After a lot of trial and error, I finally managed to get it installed on this little piece of junk. Oh my god, it actually feels so much smoother. The difference is immediately noticeable. Let's take a look at the system stats. The CPU is sitting at only around 3% utilization. That's a massive improvement compared to Windows 10. Memory usage looks much better too. It's using only about 700 megabytes of RAM, which is surprisingly reasonable for a machine this old. But before we get to that, let's start with a few simple tasks. The first test is YouTube. I want to see if this little PC can handle modern video playback before asking it to do anything more demanding. Alright, let's see what happens. Oh no, it's so slow. The system froze right on the YouTube homepage. I had to wait quite a while before it finally responded. Okay, the video is playing. Oh my god, painfully slow, and then it froze almost immediately. Even at 720p, the CPU and RAM were completely maxed out. The system was simply overwhelmed, so I dropped the resolution to 480p. But the stuttering was still there. If it struggles this much with YouTube, how is it ever going to launch something as simple as Minecraft? Alright, let's download it. Hopefully this works. Otherwise, all of this effort will have been for nothing. I'm trying to sign in, and I've already hit the first obstacle in what feels like a long chain of problems. The launcher is stuck on the sign-in screen. It looks like there's a compatibility issue between Microsoft's modern authentication system and this old installation of Windows 7. Unfortunately, the version of Windows I'm using simply doesn't support the newer sign-in mechanism. Alright, let's put the newer launcher aside for now. Instead, I'm going to try an older launcher that's designed for legacy systems. Okay, I finally got it to open, but of course there's another problem. The launcher won't load the version list. I've already been waiting for 15 minutes and nothing has changed. Oh my god, I don't think I've ever hated waiting this much, thank goodness. The launcher finally let me choose a Minecraft version. To give this old machine the best chance possible, I'm going with one of the older releases. Alright, let's see if it actually launches. Oh, come on, what now? It looks like the graphics driver is causing another problem. This machine uses an NVIDIA Ion LE graphics chip. I'd bet most people have never even heard of it. It's integrated directly onto the motherboard. So I headed over to NVIDIA's website and downloaded what should be the correct driver, version 341.92. Come on, I'd please work. Seriously? Now the driver installer is throwing an error that only the computer gods seem to understand. At this point, I could already tell this project was becoming far more complicated than I expected. After digging around for a while, I finally found the reason. The Ion LE was intentionally crippled by NVIDIA, with certain hardware features disabled to make it slower than the standard Ion. To trick the NVIDIA installer into recognizing the Ion LE chip, I first had to find its hardware ID and device manager, and then edit the nvami.inf file inside the extracted driver package. I replaced the hardware ID for the standard Ion with the one from my Ion LE. After that, I disabled driver signature enforcement in Windows and ran the installer as an administrator. Then I waited for about 15 minutes while Windows installed everything. Finally, it was done. All that was left was a reboot. If this worked, this would officially become the cheapest PC I've ever bought that could actually play games. Oh my god, it launched! I actually did it, I can't believe it. This is insane. But there's still one problem. It's really laggy. Even loading the world is a huge challenge for this little machine. Alright, I'm finally in. Oh my god, this is rough. 0 FPS. The frame rate is absolutely terrible. Give me a second. I'm going to lower a few settings. Okay, the FPS has improved, but it's still pretty bad. It's hovering between 15 and 20 FPS with occasional frame drops. To be fair, that's not too surprising for a CPU with just one core. Then I started wondering, can I somehow push this thing to 60 FPS? I switched the game into windowed mode to see if it would help. Oh my god, 53 FPS. Look at that! The game feels dramatically smoother now. I still couldn't ignore the hardware limitations, so I decided to try one small upgrade. I added another 2GB stick of RAM, bringing the total to 4GB. And the difference was immediately noticeable. The frame rate increased quite a bit. At its peak, I even saw it climb to almost 130 frames per second. Overall, the experience was actually pretty good, as long as you don't mind the occasional frame drops. But then another problem showed up. After about 30 minutes of testing Minecraft, the PC suddenly shut itself off. At first I thought the power cable had come loose, but after checking it, everything looked fine. Then I touched the top cover of the case. It was extremely hot. I checked the RAM, then the CPU heatsink. Let's just say my fingers became the temperature sensor. Both were scorching hot. I don't have a thermal camera or a temperature probe, so I powered the system back on and checked HW monitor instead. There it was, 80 degrees Celsius. Oh my god. This thing was basically an oven. I figured the thermal paste had probably dried out years ago, so I replaced it immediately before this poor CPU cooked itself. Alright, let's test it again. Perfect. Now the CPU is sitting at around 50 degrees Celsius. That's a huge improvement. So, in the end, I managed to turn an incredibly weak PC that cost almost nothing into a machine that can actually play one of the world's most popular games, Minecraft. Now I'm curious. Besides Minecraft, what else should I try on this little PC? Let me know your ideas in the comments below.